Alright, homies, I'm on my way to get a new fishing rod. I gave Billy back his today, so I need a new bass rod, maybe a trout rod. I'm probably gonna get something like a 7.5 foot medium action rod. Try and find something with a good amount of action that can throw like 1 or 2 ounces of weight so I can get that pack bait out there. You know what I mean? But I'm heading over to Best Fishing Tackle. I don't even know what city it is, but it's on Rosecrans. This is the spot right here. They fixed my other bass rod and they got good prices and they're the homies. So if you're in the South Bay, hit up Best Fishing Tackle. Your boys will hook you up with some good info too. They told me where to catch some ocean fish. All right, so it's super freaking noisy out there, super windy, and a lot of cars going by. So I don't know if you could hear anything, but I did end up getting a new rod. It's kind of like a, I don't even know how to explain it. It's kind of like a heavy duty trout rod, kind of. I think it's meant for like light surf fishing, or if you're fishing for smaller fish on the boat or something. But it's a Penn Captiva. It was only 30 bucks. I think it's 7 foot medium action, but it has a lot of action, kind of like the last rod I had, but a little more stiffer, so I think it can throw weight a little further. But it says it can only throw up to 1 ounce, but I've always thrown more than what it suggests. You just got to be careful so you don't snap the old rod. I don't suggest you do that. You get a nice heavy bass rod, like a medium heavy, but I like to live on the dangerous side, so I went and got me a little medium action rod, maybe a little medium light, I don't know. I'm gonna go home, eat like always, and then hit the road and try and catch me a big one. I'm freaking exhausted tonight, so we'll see what happens. I might leave early. Yesterday, we took out Jared's little fish finder thing, and we saw a bunch of fish out there. We were just basically trying to get the depth of the water. I don't suggest you use those to find fish, but it showed a bunch of suspended fish. No huge ones, but there's some decent looking ones, and they're all like 3 to 4 feet from the surface, and it was 6 feet, so they're pretty much right in the middle layer, trying to stay warm, and they're not feeding. Bringing it back to the old school once again. Oh! Alright, homies, so the fishing is not gonna happen tonight. It's pouring rain where I wanted to go, and there's nowhere else I could go last second, really. And the forecast says rain the next few days, of course. So I'm gonna show you how to tie one of the most popular rigs out there right now over in the United States and in the UK. It's a very popular rig because of how successful it is. It freaking hooks up on them and you catch them pretty much every time. I don't think I've lost a carp on this rig yet. I've only caught a couple because I've only been using it for a little bit. Actually, I've caught a handful of carp on it for sure. Yeah, it's just a low-lying pop-up rig. So if you want to fish over like a spread of boilies or just throw out like a single hook bait or something, I think this rig is pretty darn good for that. Alright, so I've shown it before, I'm pretty sure, but I'll just show you again. This is one that I did. I'm pretty sure you can see it pretty well here. And there's a little swivel on top here. And that's how it's gonna hang in the water. So what it is a size 6 medium curved shank hook. This one is by Fox, I believe. And then right here we got a hook bead, and then we got a miniature ambush ring swivel, and then we just have a little shrink tube, and under the shrink tube is a quick change ring swivel, which I'll show you, and then this is just a little putty. So let's get started. So first off, you want to obviously grab your hook, and like I said, this is a medium curved shanked hook, size 6, pretty standard, very strong, good hook that I like to use. You can see the shank is curved, obviously, not a straight shank hook like we're normally used to in the United States. Oh, I forgot my shrink tube. I'm gonna have to go grab that. All right, so the only thing I'm not sure about is what size this shrink tube is. But second of all, you're gonna need a ring swivel. I forget the size of these two, gosh darn it. I think they're size 12. I just threw away the package. So yeah, basically this is a quick change swivel. We talked about this before. And then on the back side, there's a little ring. Some people crank open the the quick change swivels, you can see there's a little piece you put your line through up here. So you can see it's like a little crimp kind of thing. And some people pry it open to put the hook on there and then close it shut again. But these ones are kind of thin, so you can just shove it on there. All right, so first thing you're gonna wanna do, well, at least that I do, is measure my swivel, because you want the shrink tube to cover the whole swivel and then a little bit onto the hook. So I basically put the swivel on the side of the shrink tube and then cut it accordingly. So I would say you basically want like a 1/2 inch or 1 inch, I guess. And this is easier just to put the shrink tube on first before you put the swivel on. All right, so basically this is what you have so far. Your hook with a little bit of shrink tube on it. You can see a little better there, we go. And so what you're gonna wanna do is put the quick change swivel on this side where the point is. So you're just gonna put the little tip of that in there and just kind of pull it through, being careful, making sure you don't stick yourself. So this is what we have so far. The hook, a little shrink tube, and our quick change swivel is now covered. You're gonna pull the tubing to cover the whole quick change swivel and just go a little bit over the eye of the hook. A lot of people use little stove things for this and steam it, but I just like to use a lighter. You gotta be careful because sometimes you can burn through the shrink tube, but I've practiced this a few times, so it's all good. So you just wanna match it up on the barrel of the swivel and then start shrinking. So I just pass the lighter over real quick. Gets a little hot, so be careful. There we go. There we go. And then you can see now we have the full spinner rig pretty much done. We have the shrink tube over the quick change swivel attached to the hook. Next thing you want to do is you want to grab your hook beads and your miniature ring swivel, or I think they call them micro ring swivels. They're like size 20 or something. So it's basically the same thing, except instead of a quick change swivel, it's just a regular size 20 swivel with a little ring. I don't know how easy it is to see that. It's kind of hard to show you guys, but there's one side and there's the other side, just a super teeny swivel. So you're gonna put the ring side, put the point of the hook through the ring side, just like that. And then you're gonna follow that with a hook bead. It's basically just a little rubber bead. You can get them on Big Carp Tackle or wherever. And then you want to put the flat side first on the hook. Gotta be careful right here too, because it's pretty easy to poke yourself. We get that. I kind of put it near the bend of the hook, but you kind of have to play with it yourself to figure out exactly how you like it. So basically, that is your rig. I'm holding on to the ring swivel. I mean to the ring swivel, the micro ring swivel. So that's kind of how it's gonna sit in the water. Hold it from the opposite side so you guys can kind of see the setup, the hook with the hook bead, and then we have the ring swivel and the shrink tube. And the mini ring swivel, this little swivel right here, is where you're gonna put your bait floss and your bait on. So this is an example of what it looks like all done. This is off the Ronnie rig pack from Gardner. And you can see mine right next to it. Pretty much the same thing. The only other thing we gotta do is add a little putty right here on this. Well, people do this in different ways. That's a good point to bring up. But on the shrink tube, you could put your putty. You could put your putty on the knot where you tie your line to the hook. So you just wanna wait it so this will fall slowly through the water with your pop-up on it. You don't want it to sink super fast and just plug into the dirt. You just get yourself a little putty and put it on here, or put it on your knot, however you like to do it, and test it in a fish tank or something and see how it works. Let's test it here. So I'm gonna put the putty on the old shrink tube here just to make it nice and neat. But like I said, you can put it on the knot. And this is what your putty looks like. It looks like dark Play-Doh or something. It's just a little tungsten putty. This is Gardner from Gardner. So I like to flatten it out and then put it right at the bottom so my bait doesn't come in contact with the putty. I don't know why, but I just like it that way. And like I always say, people have different ways of doing everything. This is no exception. I've seen people put the putty in all different places, and I've done it in different places myself. But for this test, we are going with it on the shrink tube. So you can see there, I put a little bit of putty on the shrink tube right here, and hopefully that balances everything out. So once you have the putty on there, you want to get your bait floss or just some braid or whatever you want to tie it onto the hook with, but I got bait floss because it works pretty darn decent. You're going to put the bait floss on the micro swivel that's on your hook. Pull the bait floss through. So that's what we have so far. Then you're going to put the bait floss on your needle, slide on your boilie, pull it down. I like to pull it down to the barrel. So there you can see how much I pull it on there, just so it's nice and tight. Give it a little cut. Blob it on. So now you can see the boilie's firmly on there, ready for action. And luckily this cup was sitting right next to me and I just had to fill it up with water. Now let's see what happens here. So I already put a little putty on there, and then the hook and the swivel also is gonna add weight, so it might sink right away. Let's see. Yep, and it goes super fast. All right, so some people have no problem with it sitting like that. You can see it's kind of resting on the swivel, and since we put some putty on the shrink tube, it's gonna lay where that putty is pretty much. So we're gonna have to make it a little more buoyant. Some people have it sit just like that and have no problem with it. Honestly, it's probably still gonna catch fish, but I'm pretty OCD and I like it to sit just like this, right on the swivel. So let's see if we put another pop-up, what will happen. All right guys, so this is how the spinner or the Ronnie rig is really supposed to look. It's still leaning back a little bit, but I usually fish with it like this. I just didn't have a buoyant enough pop-up on there a second ago, but I redid it for you so you can see what a real Ronnie rig should sit like. Like I was saying, a lot of people have it more straight up and down. It's still leaning back towards my finger a little bit. And a lot of people have it angled like perfectly straight up and down. I'll show you why. From the top view, you can just barely see the hook there popping out of the left side. No carp in the USA are gonna think twice about that, but maybe carp overseas in the UK might see that sticking out and get a little weary. But that's why people like this rig so much, is because it's so discreet. Anything swimming over the top, they're not gonna see anything. They're just gonna suck that up and get hooked up quick. So that's the spinner rig or the Ronnie rig for you. I hope you guys like this video. Comment below if you do or if you don't. Sorry the videos have been all over the place. The fishing has just been so horrible and the weather's been horrible. I don't want to go out in the rain and sit there by myself all night to not get a bite. I'm sorry, but if I had to go someone to go with, maybe I would, but yeah, I don't know. Probably no one would want to go in the rain anyways, unless I had like a little pop-up tent or something. I don't know. Going in the rain isn't that fun unless the fishing is really good. When it's freezing cold out and the water's cold, it doesn't help the fishing too much. Sometimes it does, but the cold rain is always harsh. Excuse me. So if you have any questions, please comment below. If not, I will see you guys soon, obviously. And also, if you don't like these videos, please let me know. I'm trying to do as much fishing as I can, but I want to keep the videos coming to you guys. So some of them aren't going to involve that much fishing, if any fishing at all. But for now, peace out, fish homies. Please comment below. Let me know what you think. Please, 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 please. But anyways, peace out. I hope you liked the video.